If you had told me years ago that I would be in this situation, I would have laughed, but here we go. I, 26 female, was dating James, male, for most of college, and we had plans to get engaged after graduation. 2 months before graduation, I caught him planning to cheat. Nothing physical seemed to have happened yet, but he and another girl were planning a weekend when he told me he was going home for a quick visit. Cheating is an instant deal breaker to me, so it was over. Instead of fighting, I didn't say anything, just waited till after he left for home, texted him proof that I caught him, and good thing you're single now, have fun. Then blocked him on everything and went for a girls' weekend with friends. James lost his crap and spent a month trying to get in contact with me or guilt friends into helping him. The few messages that got through I trashed without even reading them. After a while I thought he'd finally given up. About a year later, my sister, 24, announced that she wanted to bring her boyfriend home to meet the family. We didn't realize she had a boyfriend, but my parents had a barbecue and told her to bring him. It was James. My parents were stunned but tried to pull it together. I just left. My sister called and tried to explain later that they'd met at a party on campus, and it was no big deal since I broke up with him. I told her I thought she could do better, but she could make her own mistakes. I just wouldn't be spending time around them. She got mad about it because our parents took my side. I don't get along with my sister during the best of times, so avoiding them was easy except on holidays. Since they seemed serious, my parents caved and let him come to Thanksgiving and Christmas. James seemed way too invested in getting back on my good side when he was around, and it apparently made my sister jealous because she started acting worse than normal. This last weekend was a milestone birthday for my mom, and I thought it would be a good chance to introduce them to my boyfriend, Todd, 29. Mom gave it the okay, and Todd actually made a great impression on the family. James was there with my sister and he was angry and left early. My sister called me later and yelled at me for upsetting James and trying to make him jealous to get his attention. I told her she knew she was getting a cheat when she decided to date my sloppy seconds and he was no longer my problem. Since then, she's blown up social media venting about it and is refusing to see my parents for the holidays if Todd and I are there. My parents think she's over the top and acting out, but she's on their case so much they want me to try and smooth it over and apologize for calling him sloppy seconds. I think it was an apt description. Am I the idiot for telling my sister that she knew what she was getting when she settled for my cast-off ex? Edit, he was going to cheat with a girl he met through a gaming Discord. His laptop was in the shop, so I let him borrow mine to check some stuff while he was over at my place hanging out. He forgot to log out of Discord, so it was still up and on that chat when he left. The irony is that Sis is not doing herself any favours by going off about it. Her posts are kind of unhinged. I think my parents just want to shut her up at this point so she stops embarrassing herself and them. Not the idiot. Your sister refuses to accept that not only did she get your cast off, but he's also not worth the drama and issues this has brought in the family. If she's angry at you instead of with him because he got jealous, then she's being ridiculous, and apologising for it doesn't make her see sense. Honestly, it almost appears that James is dating your sister to get back at you, and she's blissfully ignorant. I think in her heart of hearts she knows she's being used. That's why she's so mad. James's reaction to their new boyfriend, Todd, confirmed her suspicions. I feel really bad for OP having to deal with a lousy ex she thought she was going to marry, on top of him dating her sister and her sister being an idiot about it. And I really feel bad for the parents who just want some quality family time and have to deal with a dumb damn daughter making a crap show of family time. As far as your parents are concerned, yeah, they're in an uncomfortable situation, but that's not your problem, and their desire to play peacekeeper is pretty messed up in the circumstances. I would ask them if they really want this to be the rest of their lives, with her acting like a child and them trying to smooth things over when they know she's in the wrong, or if they're going to do their job as her parents and show her that this is a bad situation, she's doing it to herself, and her actions have consequences. My girlfriend and I got takeout from an Indian restaurant we like and order from usually when our budget allows us. This place is really the only good Indian place anywhere near us, but it is very pricey, so we try to keep our order small. One entree for me, one entree for her, and a side of naan bread that we share. The side of bread isn't very much, and the entree just isn't the same without it. So it seriously annoys me when she eats the bread without dipping it in her curry. It's such a waste of the little bread that we get. I told her this before, but she says it's not my concern how she eats her food. However, it is my concern because she's wasting a shared side. Whatever, I let it go each time. This time, she didn't order curry like she usually does. She got biryani, rice and meat, so I was happy that I would get the bread for myself. While we were eating, she reached over for the bread and ate a piece on its own. I got annoyed and moved the bread away from her and told her she didn't need the bread since she wasn't eating curry and didn't need bread, whereas I was eating a curry so I did need bread. Also, her entree comes with rice and she can eat that. She got offended and threatened not to pay her share of the food next time. She also called me a greedy idiot and took her food and ate the rest in our bedroom. My friends are split. One of them says I'm in the right and it's too many carbs for one meal for her to have bread and rice, but the other essentially also called me a greedy idiot. It's been hours and she's ignoring me. Am I the idiot? You're a gigantic idiot. You don't get to decide for someone how they eat their food. If you're splitting the bill, she gets to eat some bread, regardless of whether you think it's being wasted the way she eats it. Say you're sorry before you're single. You are the idiot. And he has his friends volunteering about how this is too many carbs for her. Wow, what a piece of work. Mind your own business, you armchair nutritionists. I hope she gets out of there. I can only imagine how you are about everything else in your lives when this is such a small thing to react negatively towards. You both paid for the meal. You both paid for a main and a side of naan. Unless you paid extra to have that naan bread all to yourself, you're being a massive idiot to assume she doesn't get to have her half because she didn't order a traditional dip of the bread in its meal. Yes, you're being a greedy idiot. Do you want more naan? Order an extra side of naan. You don't get to cheat her of half a side that she paid for just because you disapprove of the way she eats her bread. OP, you sound controlling as heck with your too many carbs comment. Also, it's just called naan, not naan bread. Naan means bread, so you're essentially saying, I'm an idiot and I didn't let my girlfriend eat the bread. So, you're not only an idiot, but also not particularly intelligent either. What a catch. My son Alan, 26 male, recently married Helen, 25 to 26 female. I love them both very much. It's relevant to mention that I dislike parties and large gatherings. I'm not sociable at all and I just dislike them. So it was a downer when I heard that Alan and Helen would be having a wedding with around 150 people. I told Alan ahead of time that I'd probably leave early and that I and the rest of the family would take 2 cars so that they could stay if they wanted to. He looked like he didn't mind at the time. So at the wedding itself, after the ceremony, I told him I was glad and everything looked great, but I was going to go home. He asked if I was going to at least stay for cake or for food, but the food didn't look all that appetizing to me, so I told him I was just going to leave. He said, all right, whatever, just go. I returned to my table to get my stuff. I told my wife and she said she didn't feel comfortable driving back alone. The venue was very far from us and the roads there were not great. I said she should come with me in that case, and after some hemming and hawing, she agreed, so we left. Then 2 days later, Alan's new wife bombarded me and my wife with messages that she was disgusted with us, saying horrible things about us and insulting us as people and as parents. Really just sickening. I told her off and asked why she thought it was okay to talk to her in-laws like that, and she said that our leaving ruined the wedding for Alan and that he was very upset for the rest of the night. She continued to criticize us. I politely told her to leave us alone and called Alan to inform him that his wife had a temper that he should know about. When we talked about it, he basically started berating me too and said things like, "You always do this, and just leave me alone," before hanging up. I feel like I'm justified since I told him ahead of time that I wasn't going to stay. Am I the idiot here? Edit. Yes, there was a mother-son dance planned. Yes, he included me in the count for the food costs. Yes, I love him. No, this does not mean that I do not care about him. You are the idiot. You didn't even stay for the meal that they paid for. What a disgusting lack of love and respect from you as a parent. You also strong-armed your wife into leaving so your son had no parents present at his reception. How you don't see that you're the idiot is a mystery to me. Yes, and now he's playing the victim card when the new daughter-in-law called him out. Why even bother going if you can't be there fully for your son on his wedding day? The fact that you left before the mother-son dance or the speeches speaks volumes, as does your comment about the food not being appetizing. Your son is fed up with you pulling this stunt every time he needs you. Leaving early doesn't mean not going to the reception at all. Man, his introversion is so bad that other introverts are calling him out on it. Sorry, OP, using introversion as a cop-out to escape your obligations. You need to see a doctor or therapist and get some help. Because being at your child's wedding, if not estranged and stuck in non-communication land for being toxic, is an obligation. I get overwhelmed in crowded situations, but sometimes they're inevitable, like your son's wedding. When I knew one was coming up, I spoke with my therapist about a game plan. It was more or less me finding a quiet space I could retreat to, like outside the building or in a bathroom, and then rejoining the group when I could. You need therapy for this level of antisocial behavior, especially since you don't even seem to understand why you're in the wrong. My partner, male 38, and I, male 36, have 2 kids, Luke, male 18, and Jay, male teen. Some background information. We took our boys under our care when they were pre-tween and tween. Before they came with us, they'd been in different families and group homes for over a year. It was hard for Luke to understand that they were with us for good and that he had his own bedroom and family. And I know he still sometimes has insecurities about it, and a recent one was about him leaving for college. We explained to Luke that even if he was 18 and leaving the house, he would still have a room and place at home, now or in 10 or 25 years' time. He would still be our kid at 40. We will always be here for him. Now the issue. My cousin, female 42, recently broke up and needed somewhere to live for her and her 2 boys, teen and tween. Me and my partner have a house big enough, and we agreed to host them free of charge for 6 months until she gets her bearings back. In the house, my partner and I have a kind of master bedroom with our bedroom, bathroom and office. Our boys have their own rooms, and they share a bathroom, and my cousin's boys have a guest room with a bathroom. My cousin has a room on the ground floor. It's not big, but she has the space for a bed, a desk and a wardrobe. Last week we got the keys to Luke's flat, and we started the process of furnishing it. He'll officially move in next week and we'll start uni the week after. This weekend, my cousin asked when Luke's room would be empty. I told her that it wouldn't be, that he would only take his clothes, books and decorative items. Basically, his room would stay the same, and he would take only what he wanted. She then asked how she would be able to move into the room with all his stuff still there. I told her she wouldn't and that it would still be his bedroom. He will still come home on some weekends, holidays. She then complained that she was living in a storage room, that she was the only one without her own bathroom, and that it was unfair of us to have an empty bedroom in our house and not give it to her. My partner and I were very firm in our decision, but my mom and aunt called and told me that it was a bit unfair of us not to offer proper accommodation for my cousin, and that Luke could do without a room for a few months now that he has his flat for the school year. I disagree. For me, it's more than a bedroom, it's what it represents. It's his own place in our home, and I want him to have it for as long as possible. I've been called selfish and I was coddling him too much over this, so I would like an outsider's perspective. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're a better man than I. Soon as she started involving other family members, I would have told her to pack her crap up and leave my house. The boys would still be welcome to stay if she chooses. They didn't do anything wrong, but Mom has to go. You have been more than accommodating. Your cousin is being ungrateful and entitled. She's getting a rent-free place for herself and her kids for 6 months. Let's face it, probably more. It's much more important for your son to keep his room than for her to have a big room. She can have the big room when she's paying for it. Shut down this conversation once and for all. You didn't promise this room to her, and make sure she knows that. Give her mouse a cookie and they'll ask for an ensuite bathroom. Your cousin should move in with your aunt if your accommodation options are not up to her standards. She should be more grateful for the roof over her head. The nerve of some people. My son was married to Emma. They got married and had a kid. Apparently he doubted whether he was the father and got a DNA test. He was not, but he has been in the kid's life for 4 years. His name is on the birth certificate, so he is legally responsible, and he still loves the kid. Now, my issue is that before they divorced, I was never allowed near the grandkid. I asked to babysit, but they both cited that my home was unsafe and that they didn't trust me with a baby, even if I raised 4 kids. They wouldn't even bring the kid to family events like Christmas. They did this with all of his siblings. I know I'm more country than them, but it hurt a lot. My other kids' relationship with him is strained because they believe he looks down on them after getting a city job. Now, after the divorce, he has the kid almost 50% of the time, and he keeps asking me to babysit. I told him that I wouldn't babysit the kid since she wasn't my grandkid, and you made it clear I wasn't good enough to babysit when she thought she was your kid. It was a huge argument, and now he thinks I'm awful. I just think he wants someone to parent due to not being able to rely on his ex-wife anymore. Not the idiot. This has more to do with his behavior towards you when he was married than the kid not being your biological grandkid. But now that he needs help, Grandma is safe and fine. He probably expects free babysitting. I suspect the kid being kept away from your family was more the ex's doing than your son's. I'd like to hear her reasons why she would withhold him not just from Grandma but most of the family. If you're going to babysit, do it for the market rate. He said the horses were unsafe, but those are in the stables, and I'm not going to take a ride with a baby on the horse. The house is good even if it is a little old. The only unsafe place is in the cold cellar, but we keep that locked. It's a typical ranch that he grew up on. Good grief, yours sounds like my grandma's place. Countryside, tons of animals, not many modern amenities. I love that place a bit. I'm sorry that your son doesn't see it that way, and I'm sorry for the kid who doesn't get to experience it. On that note, I think maybe the kid shouldn't be punished and stripped of that experience, your feelings toward your ungrateful son notwithstanding. I don't blame her. There is no emotional connection due to the son's behavior, and now there's no biological obligation. Also, it sounds like he just wants to use her for babysitting now since he can't handle raising a kid alone. I doubt she would have ever been let near the kid if it never came to light, especially with the son's attitude to the country. He made this situation and now she has no reason to try, especially if he never apologized.